find out this morning because I've got to, yesterday we smelled propane. So when you got propane and you smell the propane starting to come in the house, it's generally a sign that the propane is on its way out. I don't know why it does that, but it does. So I gotta go get some propane. Oh, and on the other end, it's usually when you have company that it goes out. Here's a classic one for you. Today, well, actually yesterday, someone, and I'm not going to get into names, sent me a brochure yesterday. That was Wednesday. Today's Thursday. For an event that's being sponsored by Ministry of Tourism. Remember, yesterday, event today, that they wanted me to put up. So I just, given everything, said, yeah, okay, fine, yeah, it's just gonna sit there. So this morning I get this phone call, and it's this person from Ministry of Tourism. Are you coming to the event tonight? And I said, probably not. I have a lot to do, and I kind of doubt it. So, which translates, because I've done that for good few times, translates in that we wanted you to come shoot video, promote what I've done so I can show the people in Nassau and other places that I actually do something. No, this is not happening, people. The free gravy train is done. Not doing your job for no money, just for fun, because I have nothing else to do. My time would be better off sleeping. At least that would have some benefit to me. Propane tank filled, and I also filled up the car. Got that done. I've got some paperwork, some coffee to roast. I don't know. It's one of those days that I think things are going to pop up, but I'm not sure. It's wait for, oh, they're putting up all the signs for Saturday's the Ride for Hope, which is the cancer thing. And they're putting up all these signs all over the place, which are about bicycling, be careful, caution, blah, blah, blah. Go through a lot of work for the Ride for Hope. How much money it actually makes, I have no idea. It's for a good cause, and I know a lot of people come, and there's a lot of people who are like really bicycle people. Like they come with a tractor trailer from Nassau filled with bicycles. So this afternoon, somebody is getting spoiled and wanted, aren't you going to make afternoon coffee? So anyway, I'm making coffee this afternoon with a Costa Rican Terrazula. And coffee's ground up, and we're going to put it in the Chemex. Now with this Chemex, this is the filter, okay? And you can see it's actually like one big circle, okay? But you take, see the spout side? So there's 3 pieces of paper here and 1 on this side. You make sure that this side, where the spout is, has the 3 papers. And what happens is, I don't know the scientific reason, this Chemex thing, and these come in like 3 cup, 6 cup, 8 cup, and maybe a 10 cup. I'm not sure. They're not very complicated, but it was designed by, I think, a German chemist. And what happens is this spot right here, because of the 3 papers, doesn't get sucked in. So I guess it does something to the filtration or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. So the next step is after the water's warm enough, then you wash the filter on this, and then you get the bottom warm, and then there's a pouring sequence. So we'll get into that next. Okay, so what you want to do is you're going to take that water and make sure all of this is wet. That way anything that was in the paper gets rinsed out, and also down on the bottom you're heating up the glass. So then once it's done, you're going to take it, just swirl it around in there like that, then go to the spout side and just pour it out. Okay, next what we do is we come over here, put it on the scale, take the coffee, put the coffee in, and you want to just fold it around a little bit. And what I do is just, you can use a spoon if you're not sure where your finger's been, but I put a little like hole in there, okay? Now I'm gonna take it and tar it down to 0. Because the next part is I'm gonna watch the scale, and for this one, this is for 2 coffees. So this is the way I like it. I put 25 grams of coffee for 300 milliliters of water. So this first one, you're gonna put roughly about 100 grams of water to get the bloom going. And you're just gonna put it in there, sort of like that, making sure everybody gets wet. And I went a little over, but that's okay. So now you can see, this is the bloom. I don't know if you can see it, but it's rising like a mushroom. It's bubbling. That's fresh coffee. And they're gonna let that sit for about 45 seconds, a minute, to make sure it does all of that thing. And that blooming part of that is any of the CO2 that's in there is coming out. That's what those bubbles are. Okay, so now what I'm doing, and see, you kind of need one of these kettles so you can do like a controlled pour. I'm just getting all the grounds nice and saturated, and a relatively easy pour. Now, I want to bring this up to about 600 milliliters of water. So you can't do that too quick because you'll overflow the top. So you see how you can slow it, speed it? So what I do is I just continue to pour in here till that way it's slowly coming in and slowly going out. And then when I'm getting up around 600, which is right about there, 98, 601. Now you just let it sit, and this will cave in, and the sides on this will have a little bit of a, as it drains down. And remember, this has got to be sort of a medium coarse grind. While we're waiting, we'll just talk quick about like equipment and stuff. This is just this neck. See, this one I use just to boil the water. You couldn't control the flow of the water with a spout like that. This one, I can control the water, and this is relatively inexpensive. It's like, I think it was like 20 bucks on Amazon. This was on Amazon. It really wasn't all that expensive either. So you don't have to have this. It makes it faster, but you could use any kind of kettle. This is somewhat of a necessity because of the spout on it. The other thing, if you really want to make good coffee, is you need some type of scale like this so that you can, it's got a timer built in, and it also gives you your weights either in ounces or grams, milliliters, and that way you can accurately put what you want into it. So you know you're putting 25 grams of coffee to 300 milliliters of water, or however you like it. I mean, you could make it in a different ratio in that, but it's going to be somewhere around in there. I did this before at a 23 300, and I didn't like the way it came out. So that's why you have to experiment with all of that. So that's like another 20 bucks on Amazon. Again, no vast fortune. Grinder, this one isn't, you know, it isn't the greatest grinder, to be honest. It's relatively cheap. It's like 40 bucks on Amazon. This one's a hand grinder, so great for on the road or whatever. I use that one in the morning when somebody is still sleeping, because it's a little bit loud. Here, I'll give you a buzz. Then we get to the brewer. The brewer here, this is a Chemex. This is just one of them. I mean, you've got these paper filters are like, I think 14 cents, 15 cents each. But, you know, it's really something you need. It really does a great job. The Chemex itself, I think it was 30, 35 bucks for the Chemex. So these are the basic ones. I mean, this is a cheaper route because you could use just a cup. This Von Mac here, which that's there. And there's variations of these. There's different companies that make different ones. But you put the filter in here, and obviously this is just works for one cup. Put the filter in here. Principle's about the same. Filters are different. Again, get good filters. I had bad filters, and God, does it make the coffee taste terrible. It's like, oh, terrible. So next is we'll take out the filter and then pour Sid her coffee. Okay, so both of these are done. That's Sid's because she puts milk in hers. That's mine. Which, if it was a 50-50, like no milk needed to be added, then it'd be a little different size there. But that's okay, because it's good she takes the milk, because then she can tell me how it tastes with milk, and I do it according to how it doesn't taste with milk just out of the coffee. And you're going to get a much better judgment, shall we say.
From Sid than Tom.
Black versus the white.
I don't make it white, I make it milk chocolate colored.
Milk chocolate colored. You know, warm like this, it's just about drinkable. I can drink hot things. Is I put my nose over it and I'm smelling. I'm looking for whatever fragrances come out. And the first thing that comes to mind too. So if I smell like cinnamon or vanilla or caramel or berries or dirt, or, you know, it could be anything. Sometimes it's not always a great smell. Then when it cools, as it cools, I go through it from the warm, what does it taste like? As it cools, what am I getting? As it's cold, what am I getting? So that hopefully along the way, there's good flavor from the start to the end. So Sid says this one is
warm,
nondescript.
See the color?
Yeah. Now this was roasted almost to second crack, which would have made it like a medium body.
Mm-hmm. But I think it might be like yesterday's coffee where it gets better as it cools.
Right, because some of the flavors pop out
right.
a little bit later, which sometimes that does happen.
Yeah, right now it's warm.
Right, and I think sometimes when it's too warm, what ends up happening is that it probably, and you know, that's not my, works better. All right, so this is gonna seem a little rude, but this is how I taste the coffees as it goes along. And remember, I'm not trying to be rude. See how you slurp? You get air in there. You gotta have the air coming in so you can taste. And see, I would agree with Sid. This one at this point is fairly nondescript. And this is basically the process we do all the time. So I'll take that coffee, and if it doesn't change, then I'll look at my book, say, how did I roast it? What did I do? What can I try changing next to change the flavoring? Because that's what roasting does, is while you are roasting those beans at different temperatures and different times and different fan speeds and everything else, you're changing this. I think I read there's like 1,000 compounds in a coffee bean. So how you put the heat to it and how long it goes, what the temperatures are, etc., will influence how those chemicals interact, combined, get burnt off, or whatever. And that's why in, like really dark coffees, you taste coffee. It's more like a what I would say probably most or a lot of people think of as coffee. It has that coffee taste. And that coffee taste is because everything's just been basically burnt off. There is no more of those chemicals really. Sure, there's some, but the farther you go, the less you're going to get. And so therefore, it becomes that taste. That's the taste that you get. And that's not necessarily the taste that comes from the bean. But getting the taste from the bean is the hard part. Finding where that sweet spot of roasting it is so that you can pick up the flavors. And generally those coffees are a little bit lighter. So I don't want to say tea-like, but they're not like that dark black coffee that so many people are used to. Although I know the bulk of people like dark black coffee, and coffee. I get that. So we are going to do some of that too, because I understand that's how it works. But this is just sort of a little overview of what we end up doing. I just got done doing some accounting stuff and some spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. So Sid delivered a coffee sample down the street. She came home because she can only drink coffee, caffeinated coffee. Oh, that'll be good when we come back. I'll have the decaf, and you can try that even later.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think I got 10 pounds of...
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, she has a little issue with caffeine and sugar and stuff like that. Now, the other thing that happens is that I roasted this yesterday, so it's only sat for 24 hours. I'm going to leave this now because sometimes the flavor changes in, well, we don't have that much time, but today's Thursday, probably by Saturday, Sunday, I'll try it again and see if the tastes have changed in it. It's let off enough CO2. It's had a chance to rest a little bit, because sometimes they do change. So, but that's why I do it at different times. So that way I can say, okay, it's been this way the whole time, not a good roast. Need to try a different method. But sometimes I found that in 3, 4, 5 days, it has a whole different taste. So it's like, okay, so this is a roast that has to sit for a little while. You put this out right away and somebody drinks it on that like second day or something, they're probably not going to be happy. If they drink it on, say, day 7 or 8, then it becomes a different story. Then it's like, ooh, okay, this is good. So, like I said, there's a lot to have to contemplate, think about as far as this coffee thing goes. It really is.